Hey there, Gemini. This is Joy with Joy the World, here to take an intuitive peek into the energies going on around you. Friends and subscribers, welcome back. And if you're new to this channel, click that subscribe button and ring the bell. They'll notify you anytime I post new videos. Also, if you find you like the content we provide here at Joy the World, give us that big thumbs up, like, and share. Also, be sure to leave comments down below. Just as much as I enjoy the energy flowing through me, sharing it out to you guys, I would love to feel your energy flowing through, coming back into the channel. Speaking of that, those of you who've given donations, thank you so much. No matter the size is not what counts. It's what happens when it all comes together. And what has happened is 1, 2, 3 new decks, and another one is on the way as well. Talk about opening up new worlds. These are mindsets that took people a massive amount of time to create, and it opens up new visions, new understanding, growth, progress, and knowledge. So I appreciate y'all sewing that into me, into this channel, so that I can help you grow, you help me grow. The whole thing works together. It's fantastic. So with that being said, the Tarot de la Nuit is for you today, Gemini. And as I was shuffling and moving through, you were talking to me about new energy coming into your life, coming into your heart, healing the wounds of the heart where you have been diminished and decayed. Really just became a relic, something that just hung around anymore and didn't have its own passionate life force. Also about resources being returned unto you as well, and being reestablished in that, because communication is reconnected now, and is communication with heaven coming down earth, it connecting with the skies. And now that they said now the information has gotten to you, now it's ready to come through you, because I saw the snake coming out of your mouth. And you could think the snake, the forked tongue, the deception. No, not the forked tongue of the snake coming out of your mouth, which is double-minded, a dual heart, that type of thing. It was about this energy coming through here, the snake coming out of your mouth. Hang on. Hey there, I'm back. Little life interruption there, but we keep going. What do we do? So anyways, it's talking about now that they have been able to get it to you, now they can get it through you. So the power of that snake is the power of the divine truth coming through, coming forward out of your mouth. And we get to find out what that is going to be. So it was coming from this deck, and on the top, here it is, Sun of Fire. That's what's showing up here. The birth of this new generation, this new energy. I'm going to leave that there for a moment. And let's go ahead and get some tarot out on this for you, Gemini, along with the Pearl of Wisdom. All right, let's get some clarity and insight on what is coming through Gemini now. Let's get a couple more. I see you. Okay, that's a good start for us. I think I do want one more, though. Oh, thank you. Okay, we'll keep it face down, won't we? So at the bottom, we have the Seven of Wands. Okay, something about being defensive, either as a woman or against women. There's some of that protective power going on there. Just going to leave these two as a keen insight sitting over here, because the story's not quite told on that yet. So let's just not even go on there. We'll step there when it's time. So for now, the first card that came out is this Emperor. But you see, this Emperor is not seated on his throne. This Emperor is one that rules over the mind. That's why they were able to get it through you. Your mind is clear. Your mind is full and rich and abundant. You've received a lot of teaching, Gemini, a lot of life experience, a lot of instruction, knowing how to be a provider and a protector, being aware that dark is not bad and bad is not evil, and light isn't necessarily good. It's you've gotten past the preconceived notions and delineations of stigma, that type of thing, and you've retained what is necessary to the provision of life, what is necessary to live and to move forward without restriction. Okay, so let's go into that just a little bit. I'm going to get a light seers on this Emperor. So what is bringing in? Because remember, it got it to you, so that affords you some rights and some responsibilities, not like demanded rights and commanded rights. No, just some privileges, some benefits, that type of thing that comes along from having been through this experience that you had that is now going to be coming out in mighty power and truth to share with the world. So let's see what's coming in for you. Okay, so what is opening the door and facilitating the way in is this Knight of Cups, which is fantastic because in the splits when I was shuffling, the King of Cups came out, and that was about your heart being restored. And this has to do with like romantic feelings, tender, heartfelt sentiments, that type of thing, which can't be forced nor faked. And it's not something that's driven about like lust, that type of thing that has a mindset thinking it's something this way, but really it's just a figment. It's like a self-deception. That's why the snake is coming out, not the forked tongue, because you have been unified and you're brought out whole and empowered because of it. And therefore you have a couple of a bowl, more than a cup of bowl to offer. And as we know, if you at a restaurant, you pay more for the bowl than you do for the cup of soup, right? And you're like, I have a whole bowl, and your steed, your power here behind you is like blowing the nostrils out, you know, exhaling, commanding like yes and an amen on that, because it's bringing forth some of that unicorn power, some of that very sword energy, Ace of Swords energy beyond the King of Swords, that very command of oneself, self-ownership, self-rulership, self-control. And self-control only comes about when we have finally laid down the power and the need to manipulate or control others. And manipulate doesn't mean make them do what you want. Some of it could be thinking that you know the right thing, and it's having to move through others when you realize that energy, life itself wanted to move through you, have its expression through you, and surrender there so that it could bring about this energy, which is fantastic because in the Tarot Dana Louis, when I was shuffling it, the 10 of Pentacles as well as the 10 of Cups was coming out. So here, this has to do, I'm seeing it like on a bigger scale, like community-wide. It could be worldwide because we have people of all facets going on here, but definitely in the community through the layers of time, like healing of the generational gaps that were going on. So for some of you, there may have been generational curses in your family, and you don't always know it it's a curse. You could think it's a health predisposition that gets passed down through the family line, like heart troubles or blood pressure issues or poor vision or things like that. It's any of that because those are all mindsets. Now, granted, they do come about in the physical, so don't think I'm diminishing any of that. But we're talking about the energy of generational passing down. So resurrecting and renewing that bloodline to where DNA can, rather than degrade and keep being something that comes down to the line, it can upgrade, right? And it can be the turning point. Just like with Uranus, Saturn, all that, we've had those retrogrades going on. That's a turning point to where it begins to move back. So in this case, this 10 of Pentacles is showing a return, an upgrade occurring here. And that's this Emperor. I love it. A very proactive leader for you there, Gemini. Now, alongside it, we have the High Priestess coming in. And she's more like in the shadowy depths of learning, like hidden slightly off screen. They're saying feeding you your words. You have help. You have help here. And that's why they're wanting to get it through you, because it's more about the message that they have to come and to bring and to give. Because one thing that you find once you become the Emperor is a person of very few words. They're a person of action, right? And that's why I love in this deck. He's not seated on the throne. He is in motion, you know, taking a look, getting that hindsight, and formulating a plan of action of how to move forward, which is a foresight, right? But being able to move in the fullness, not the entrapment of the past, therefore the karma and the cycle, that type of a thing. But they're coming along here to show you that pure wisdom, that pure that pure crown of glory, which is the illumination of joy. It has to do with the whole mind, the full perspective of being able to come through. And the reason you have balanced judgment, meaning clarity of mind, is because you're not judging. You're not standing in that state of going, oh, you know, black means dark, white means light, light means good, dark means bad, scary, you know, that type of thing. You're able to move in the world of color. You're able to be in this animated world, this practical world that impacts and moves human life. not necessarily even through your word, which it will be some spoken word, but anything with the mouth and the throat chakra has to do with your truth, your integrity, moving forward in your beauty, because beauty is integrity. It is being the same on the inside as the outside. That's why it glows up, okay? So with this high priestess, let's get a little bit about this book that's pouring forth illumination in her lap. I could say light, but this light isn't saying let's get you out of the darkness. It's just illumination in order to see, to grow, to live, and to have your being. So we're going to get some of these vice versa tarot that you guys got me coming in here. I see you. All right. And you. Okay. So you got to know they're a front and a back. So there might be two sides here. No, she's saying just one because just the J is illuminated, but we're going to look at both because they're wanting us to take this illuminated view, but to also be aware that there is a shadow. The sun causes and casts a shadow. It's nothing to be afraid of. So she's removing the shadow of doubt, the shadow of fear. Okay. And what's it about? Okay. We got the fish jumping from the cup. But the irony here is this is not very knight. This is very much page energy. So it's presenting yourself as less than you are. That's interesting with this high priestess energy going on. When we try and diminish something, that means there's still a bit of a heart issue going on. So they're wanting to illumine your heart, to illumine your mental perspective and reflection on yourself of knowing completely who you are so that you can step into the fullness of your power. The fullness of this emperor you have going on here is you're so much more well able than you give yourself credit for. Therefore, you can rise up and step up to the level of action, the level of beingness of your amness and your presence, okay? Your manifest presence when you know who you are. Otherwise, when you step it down, you kind of strip it down too. And it's not a stripping and a dumbing down that it's truth that's not tuned. It's a guitar that's not tuned. So the music is slightly off, okay? And therefore what goes out of you is also going to feed back into you, and that's how it downplays through the generations. And this isn't just generations like relatives. This is generation like subsets of time. Okay, so it's this is talking about your heart, your knowledge of you, in your own heart, your power, the power of your faith and your belief coming in here. I just want to take a second on this because it's really weird, like the numbness, like there's a lot of lethargy coming in here, and it's not even in yourself, it's in that diminishing. It makes you lethargic because your output and your input don't match up, and therefore, like same with a bank account, when you spend more than you earn, that bottom line is just gonna and it's gonna end with a period, right? It's gonna come to a termination point, and they're wanting to upgrade you as well here in your heart, in your volume of life, in your vitality. Ooh, I'm having to pull us back out of this, y'all. You talk about wet blanket. That is some rough stuff. We're going to get a rune and a credit card on this. I just want one. I want to clear everybody. Okay, I see you. Thank you. No. Hang on. We're not going there. It's like, okay, so that's showing me your heart is all over the place. Like there's a lot still kind of going on there. A little bit of confronting yourself, okay? Telling yourself the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So now that your mind is aligned, that's where you step in. That's where it begins. This is how it moves in and through here. But they're not just wanting you to get some message out to the world and for everybody else to benefit and prosper from it. They're wanting this wholeness to infect and to infiltrate and to move fully and completely through you, to be able to be that manifest presence. So with that, I'm going to call it a page. Page of Cups going on there. We have the unknowable. Everlasting, eternal, symbolic death, contrasts, fears, and potential possibilities. So you have fear of certain outcomes. And it's like So you have like a stymie going on your faith and your belief. You think it's there, you think you're fully expressing it, but then you put that wet blanket on it. So it's sodden and soggy and weighted down, and it makes you exhausted, emotionally exhausted, where you don't need to be. So let's get some upliftment for how we toss off this wet blanket, change our the mind of our heart, change our feelings and emotions, to where we have the power to step into the truth of who we are. All right, I see you. So this high priestess, invite the secrets. Invite the growth and development necessary to move forward. Invite them to tell you the truth. Invite it to come in through your dreams, through lucid dreams, through shamanic journeys, meditations, that type of thing. Also through your eyes, through omens, through symbols, through looking around you. But take that time to get quiet and reflect. Take that time to ponder without jumping to conclusion. And notice when it gets suppressed. When those little fingers of the heart creep on out and turn on the faucet to sodden and to soggy the blanket, okay? Notice what it is why it goes from something beautiful, shiny, clear, radiant to wah, wah, wah. All right, so that's a taste of melancholy stepping in there. Wanting some contrast, that's interesting. Do you really want it? Really? The way that you know is at the end of the story, when that period comes, when the $0 is in that emotional bank account. How do you feel then? Do you feel exhilarated, refreshed, like, I'm so glad I went for broke and I did this, and it's so fulfilling? Or it's like, God, I won't ever do that again. I'll get it this time. Well, we know it's about trajectory, because when the arrow launches from the bow, it's at that moment that you can get it aimed at what you want to go for. Once it's released, there's no changing it. And the more time travels, remember these cycles of time, these generations, as it begins to travel is when you begin to see the amount of deviation. Okay, so they're asking you, they're saying, consider asking us for help at the onset, in the early hours. And that doesn't mean wake up early. That means in the beginnings of things, in the idea phase, in the formulations of things. And that brings in this crown, this, well, to me, it's not just it's all the energies here. It's not just the king. We have the queen and we have the knight going on here as well, with the swords. We're definitely going to get a rune on this one because it's lingering off in the distance. Getting your heart and your mind on the same page, which makes sense. Having yourself be in polar balance. That has to do with your potential and your actual. Not being over in one and saying, hey, I want y'all to agree with me and tell me what to do about this. Not being over in the action phase. Now that I'm here, help me make it through this. That type of thing. They're like, no. Activate us before the insemination. Before that, get in the place in between and be neutral. Be in that neutral space and get that wisdom to flow in and to give you that. Oh, they're talking about the Fire of Wands. Okay. So we have some this defensive energy going on here. We could say of thinking you know better. It's not totally that. It's just you could often be 2 steps ahead. Remember, there was some of that, the fears, the potential, the possibilities. It's like it's easier to ask forgiveness than to ask permission. Although that's not exactly the thought that you're going through. That some of the conditioning is like not wanting to back it up and take a better look. Interesting. So I said we're going to get a rune on this one here. Let's go ahead. Definitely about balance, some justice, very much some Libra going on here. I feel you right there. Okay. When they spilled out everywhere, this was the card that caught my eye. So it's interesting that it found its way back to us. It's reconciliation and regeneration. So to reconcile yourself is to give into it. To go ahead and to give in to knowing that there's a bit of a battle going on in your heart. that you could do with some development and some mentoring in that area. And this is spiritual mentoring, doing with some growth, some emotional maturity in that area, because it could just be that you've got taxed, that you've been taxed and worn out so many times coming alongside others and being able to see theirs, that you didn't spend as much time developing your own. It could be coming from your birth sign. It could be coming from situations that you've had plotting on your chart of your eye of God, right? Irregardless, take time to reconcile that disconnect, that overlapping and that gap and that juncture of when and where it starts to turn melancholy. And you don't have to figure out why it's doing that. You just stop it at that point. And if you can't go full on and be like, oh, la, 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 and bringing the heart all back like this, just don't let it turn. Let it at least stay at the state that you were at before that turn occurred. Like this morning, I was hearing this song, Dance Like There's No Yesterday, playing. And then all of a sudden, this just some going on in my life right now started to kind of talk and take over. It was really wild, because it was only once I could begin to hear more words of the song coming that thing tried to cloud it and to crowd it out. And I was like, oh, wait, no, we're not going there. You're not going to shift my energy. So here, even in the midst of, there's a very heavy energy. It could be around the room. It could be around in the planets right now. It could be with the weather going on. But I am like, no, I'm going to bring forth my energy. So it might not look like I'm zinging and popping, but inside I am wielding this sword. I am fighting the battle, whether it's for you guys and what's going on there, or whether it's something moving on around me. I'm like, I am committed to staying neutral or above this energy. Whatever it takes so that the purity in the thought comes through. Okay, so along with that, let's see, we have your mind, we have your heart, so now we're getting into your body. We have the King of Pentacles going on here. Look at this. Talk about, he's saying, fire it up, baby. Fire it up. And I'm not seeing like the pilot light that's often talked about on our hot water heater. This is like motorcycle, like boom, boom, and like flames coming out of the pipes, making that big loud noise, getting you revved up. So what are we getting you revved up on? We're going to get a couple of the light seers here. Getting Gemini all revved up. I see like sparks and embers trying to catch and take hold. Not to burn up your world. I mean, it is all fiery there in the background. But it's definitely to revitalize, like your tree of life has been drained as well. The vitality of your heart begins to get drained. Well, then the energy in your body, in your field, is drained as well. It's like there was so much of this heart draining, which we could say it overdrafted in the sense that it used up all your checking, so much so, and kept going to another zero of like, wait, I'll get it, I'll figure it out, that it rolled over into your savings. And even your savings is down to like $1 or $0. And he's like, oh, we diminish it. We just, let's bring it back. Let's fire it up. Let's get this tree of life erect again. Let's get our mentality going. Ours. It's no longer about others. It's not about this great spiritual quest of, thank you. There's that 8 of Wands. Talk about that communication. That's what was showing up in the splits with everything coming in here, is that this restoration, this communication coming in. And here it's now coming from the dark, me in the nighttime, that stage of the in-between, right, of the potential of the formulating to where it's now stepping into the actual, like the bank account's going to start going up, right? There's going to be increase. There's going to be progress. And then this is going to help feed back into this as well, because it's letting me know overall this has been a heart chakra drain. It's almost like you don't have permission over your own heart to garner it and to navigate that, okay? But you've done a great job in your mind, and now it's obvious in your body as well, because you stand in authority there, which would make sense on some of those other readings, Gemini, when you talked about the space in between on the Healer of the Ages, that the two poles you had mastery of, you wanted to go for the space in between, which is the heart. It is the heart going on there. Okay. Your soul path. Your soul path. You're talking about your soul path. The key's right there. But remember, we talked about that heavy energy. Here is just a little shawl, but you talk about that wet, that soggy, that soddenness. That could almost be quite a bit of Pisces going on there, about the mind playing tricks on you. And it's saying take the key and open up the door and enter on in, because there's more than just potential here. There is the activation and the knowing what to do, how to accomplish your dreams, how to rebuild after this, because you have done it a few times, my friend. Okay? So they're leading us on to this card. We're going to go ahead and step into the Three of Pentacles. She's talking about plasma, to merge together these different energies here of soul, mind, and body. And it's about tuning out the world and tuning into this world. Tuning in here. So when you go through this door, this is where you go into. It's an inner sanctum, an inner temple. Some of you have grown very dark and cold inside, and that's not a bad thing. It's like, reaching rock bottom. It's being between a rock and a hard place. It's those type of things where, so these two decks were misbehaving totally when I was shuffling them when I got them. And they were just being uncooperative and going everywhere and making messes and all this. And it's like I said, you learn the most when you can't control something. So you've been through some things you haven't been able to control, or like this gaping leak going on in your energy field here. Wanting to grasp that, wanting to be able to be in control here, but that's in the area where you're not, because that's where you will grow the most, where your knowledge is entering in. And not just self-gained knowledge, but gifted knowledge. Gifted knowledge. You hold the power of the pearls. And here she's got the book. It's like conjure. Being able to conjure up whatever, it's more than the magician. It's like that self-control, when you can navigate the realm of emotions, when you can navigate the unnavigable. So you're showing me right now, I wish there were a trump card for the whole deck. And they're like, there is, it's the Fool. And I'm like, okay. The power is in the Fool. I want to find out what power is in the Fool. This is quite an interesting journey here today, Gemini. What is in the Fool for you that holds the total power? There you are, I feel you. Being in the here and now. Being fully present. Being open. Being available. Being willing to grow. Having a humble heart. Being teachable. Deciding that now, like this space, this energy. Being able to be there. It means you're not acting out of patterns. You're not acting out of reflexes or reflexes. That's the best way to say it there. Because just like here, staying in that energy dismisses the fact that you have the power, the key to open the door to move on into the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, the ace, the whatever. It's putting the power in your own hands by being lifted up above it. Just getting a bit of that higher perspective, which is about them talking about having the secrets to share with you going on here, okay? And that doesn't turn into this rainy day anymore. See, it's just a partly cloudy day. So you can enjoy the warmth and the shade, the warmth and the shade. Like whenever we're out on the beach on a really hot day and a cloud comes up, it's like, oh, it's so refreshing. And then it comes back out. We're like, oh, let's go get in the water to cool off. So it creates this movement. It creates a divine dialogue, because I remember the Emperor's one of action. It creates a divine dialogue of living. That's interesting. Okay, so let's get that pearl for you guys. Let's get the pearl. We get 2 pearls of wisdom. All right. So we got strategy and 6th chakra, Archangel Metatron. Understanding your divine power, your divine rights, and not like, oh, once I understand, then. No, it's literally allowing this to be your life force, to be your life flow, so that this recovery and this reestablishment doesn't take so long, so that there is someone watching over and illuminating you right in the area where there is still some growth and development going on, right? It's like letting life love you, not like. It's letting life love you. That's for sure. That's for sure. And I feel you can keep seeking because it's interesting. It's like spinning and spinning and turning the wheel for one more day and one more time. Do I check through this day and this day and this day? And I'll tell you, all the days are the same. All the days are the same until you come to this, the here and now, to this point, to here, now, today. Because when you do, when the actor arrives on their cue on stage, not just the timing cue, but this space, then the tape begins to roll. Then the movie is made. Then the life is lived. And then you move forward. So it's like once you step into your character, that's when the transformation occurs. Stepping into your character, and that doesn't mean like actor, like character. That means who you are, the content of who you are, what all you've been through, and what this affords you. Remember those benefits. And it's pretty ironic none of these cards were torn, but now there definitely is one. And you're telling me to look at it. I don't know when this happened, but it's number 3, blossoming, abundance. So you've had some snags going on with your abundance blossoming. It could be coming from this 7 of Wands and the Ace of Swords going on here. This Ace of Swords at this moment, she's being overly intent, like literally like the mind being a drill bit, like wearing the mind out, like this overplay, this harnessing of the power of I'm going to make it happen, I'm going to make it happen. Metatron's like, yeah, you drilled all up in my head. Can you back off and let the magic happen? Can you give space for our energy to come through? There's so much more is what they're saying. There's so much more. So I ask you to step boldly forward, friend. I ask you to leave your comments down below about what this video has said for you, because I could tell you in my own personal energy that what is going on around y'all and around me and through you guys is, you know, such a state that I would almost not post this video and would go to the cards and try and bring a more popping energy, because that's so much more indicative of who I am. But my goal is to stay committed and true to walking through these energies with you guys, because someone needs this message. So if that someone was you, if you're caught between this rock and a hard place of how do you make it happen? You know, how do you allow it to happen? How do we do this? How do we do this? You know, it's powerful to know that you could come through all this energy to get to that place that of surrender, of being able to stop and ask that, to be able to reflect in that moment. Okay, friend. Hey, Gemini, leave those comments down below. This is Joy. Until next time, bye for now.